The North Gauteng High Court has reserved judgment in the application by Prince Simakade Ka Zwelithini to dethrone Zulu King Misuzulu Ka Zwelithini. Prince Mbonisi ka Bhekuzuku, who is supporting Prince Simakade's High Court application, told the court through his counsel, Advocate Menzi Simelane, that a king is not born but is nominated by the royal house in Zulu culture. Now let's speak to Professor Sihawukele Ngubane, UKZN School of Arts and Cultural expert. Prof, thank you so much for your time this evening. I'm going to get to that part of whether or not a king is nominated or elected, but I'd like us to start here. President Cyril Ramaphosa maintaining that his decision to appoint King Misuzulu is valid as well as rational, while Prince Simakade is arguing that the nomination and selection process was not properly followed. What is your take?
My take is that it is legitimate. The decision of the president is legitimate, and there were processes that were followed. First, there was a delegation that was sent through the Department of Culture to the royal family, and there were discussions, and the report was compiled and it was presented to the president. So it was not something that he just took over a night and decided that King Misuzulu is the king who will ascend the throne. But there were processes followed. As we know that the king is born, as we have said earlier, he is born. The king is known at birth that he is going to be the king. So it doesn't come as a surprise.
So I suppose then, from your vantage point, these arguments that, some legal counsel arguing that a king is nominated by the royal family instead of the king being born, as the AmaZulu king has also argued in his particular papers, you're saying that a king is indeed born and not nominated?
Absolutely. A king is born, not nominated.
So when it comes then to the constitution, because you're talking about these, the cocta and all of that, but the way the meeting was constituted, and we heard from various lawyers who are saying that how the meetings were constituted, that in itself is raising a lot of questions. The meetings were not properly constituted, the processes were not properly followed, and it does look for them that, even the person who was leading this particular process, which would be the late AmaZulu Prime Minister Prince Bhekuzuku, was not supposed to be the person leading this particular process. And I wonder then, where does this all place these arguments when it comes to traditions and how customs and things unfold there?
Let me explain it this way, Mangete.
Yeah.
The monarch in KwaZulu is a constitutional monarch. That is why these matters are taken to court, because it is legislated by the Act. So the appointing or the appointment of the king is a prerogative of the family. So the family is the core to identify the king, but not to nominate, but to identify the king and affirm the king. Usually, when you are going to be a king, you are taken away from the community into some, what I can call, exile. And when it is due for you to come and ascend the throne, then you are brought back. So this is what is a normal practice in most of the kingdoms that we have in Africa. So they know exactly who's going to be the king. It's just like in Eswatini. Eswatini, the last child of the king becomes the king. So there's no doubt about it. So if the last born is a male son, he becomes the king. Even here, we know who should be the king because of the customary law and the customs of the Zulu nation, which is not only unique to the Zulu nation, it's also applied in most of the African countries.
So, Prof, you know, looking at what has been transpiring in this particular story and the different installments, even culminating into this particular court action, a lot of, you know, the family squabbles we've seen playing out in the public domain. While judgment is reserved, there are going to be some serious ramifications here for the family, whichever way that the court is going to rule. So how then does the family forge ahead post whatever decision is made by the court?
I think it is very important for the family to reconcile on this matter, because they are one family, they are the royal family, and they are expected to unite the Zulu nation. The king is the head of Amakos. We know that the Zulu nation is constituted by many tribes under the king. So if the family of the king, which is the royal family, is not united, it means the whole nation will be divided. So I think they need to reconcile their differences and respect the person who is on the throne, or respect the throne, not the person, but respect the throne. So I think we usually say Islalo must be respected. So the throne must be respected. Anyone who has been appointed to sit on the throne, so the family should come down and rally around him and support him.
And looking at what has been happening, Prof, is that a possibility for you?
It is a possibility. I think once the judgment has been passed, now the process of reconciling should start after the case. Regardless of the outcome of the case, I think even, I don't want to say if one of them wins the case, the person that will lose will have to support one, because they are one family. That's why I always say that this is a family matter. That's why it becomes so sensitive that a person who is not part of the family should decide for them. But it is what we recommend as the nation, as the members of the Zulu nation who are proud of the nation, that taking the matter of the kingdom to courts is like disrespecting the process of our customs on how kings are bestowed. So I think it needs to be corrected in one way or another.
And how will it be corrected, Prof? Because as you say, I was going to ask you about that, Uguti. Are the courts, in fact, the right kind of platform to deal with this? So how do they begin then to correct that for future generations?
Now, the courts will make the judges will make their verdict. But even when the verdict has been passed, I think that the family is the core into this matter. And the family should take the lead in creating a peace within themselves. But we know that the king is already bestowed by the president. So the case is like an exercise that is driven by human rights and democracy, that everyone has got a right to challenge anything in South Africa. So I think this process should be allowed to take its course. And after that, I think there are still many members of the royal family who are senior, who can try and negotiate this peace and reconciliation that I'm talking about. Because if they are not united, then it will divide the nation.